So Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
For those here, for those watching us virtually at home or wherever, we are about to embark on this most really sacred day in our tradition. It's really kind of wonderful because we always think of Yom Kippur as being the most sacred day, but it's the Sabbath of Sabbaths. Shabbat, this time to renew, is that sacred time. So make sure that whatever we do between now and Havdalah tomorrow night, that it's a little bit different than what we would do during the week, a little bit more celebratory, and certainly more to be taking care of each other and ourselves. We're going to begin, I believe, at page 142 in Mishkan Tefillah, the Blue Book, calling the angels, Shalom Aleichem, the Malachei HaSha'aret, the angels that will guide us through this day of rest.
So on page 142, if you're visiting our congregation, remember our prayer book goes from right to left. And this version of Shalom Aleichem sounds like a song from the 1940s. Those were the days. And it's very joyful and really brings on the spirit of Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. Moachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. You can
all do this part. Barhuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mimelech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. Zeitchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mimelech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. La 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 We're going to continue with our candle lighting. It's on page 120, 123. John, would you like to bring your parents up? Okay. And then you get to, from up here, say hi to the incredible family that's come to join you for this weekend. Thank you all for being here.
Here, John.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who beholds us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, tzimanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had began doing. Then God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai, Elokeinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
And we continue.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, b'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
The Chaim. Everyone have a sip?
Because it was wine. It was wine.
Having separated ourselves from the week that has been, we rise for our call to worship. We're at page 146 for Baruch Hu. Page 151 at the top, and please read with me. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We're on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך מלאכתך והדרך, ושוכבך וקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 157 at the bottom, we continue responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it's been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. This version of Mi Chamocha is repetitive, so I sing, you sing. It'll be very obvious.
Mi Chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah, Tehilot, Osei, Velech, Norah, Tehilot, Osei, Velech.
I knew you could do it.
Mi Chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh.
We'll continue as we thank God for the Sukkot Shalom, the shelter of peace that spreads over us, and heed God's call to share that blanket with those who are in need around the world. We thank God for this day of respite, this day of Shabbat. We continue with Vishamru on 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Several pages of reminding us to be thankful and appreciative. We turn now to the Amidah and we start to actually pray, to talk about the things that need to happen in this world and our role in making them so. So at 164, please rise for tefillah.
Adonai, sefer tiftach ufi mitzvotecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
166.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, Eheyot, Omer Hasidim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zoher Chaser Vod V'imahot, Mevi Gurza Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshe Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Dezrat Sarah.
168.
Atah Gibor L'olam Adonai, V'chei kol atah, Rav Nehoshia, Morid atah. Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Samech Noflim Ve'ofei Hodim, U'matir Asurim, U'mekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Givurot, U'midam Menach, Melech Memit U'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, V'chayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'shimcha yom haruch hasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated, and we continue at the top of 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Continue on the following page.
Ratzei Adonai Eloheinu, Be'amecha Yisrael, U'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel, U'tehi l'ratzon, Tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael amecha. Ekarol lecha ha'apnei el avadecha v'chaneinu. Shvach
We don't say thank you enough. And there's a prayer in the liturgy which reminds us to literally say, God, we thank you for the so many gifts in our lives. And I often wonder whether we say thank you from the heart or from the expectation. And so when someone experiences a blessing in their life, we're supposed to be able to express ourselves. And oftentimes words aren't the best way to do it. It's really easy to say thank you, to say I'm sorry, to say hi as you're walking by somebody. How are you? And not waiting to hear the response. But the greatest way in which we can express gratitude is to spend time with people and let them know how meaningful we are in each other's lives. And that's really the greatest gift that you all have this weekend, is that, young man, you are so important, your family is so important, the family is so important, that people have come from all over to make sure that they get to celebrate that together. And so for the generation that raised everybody, thanks to, you owe a lot of thanks to those folks, so for being here. And we're going to turn to a prayer for peace, because the best way to demonstrate how much we appreciate is to do the work of healing lives. So on page 178, if you'll read with me, please. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people, forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, Shalom. And with words of peace and thanksgiving in your heart, let's take a few moments to pray privately for what we can do to make those hopes more real in the world around us. So I'm going to need some help on a couple things. I need some answers to some questions, if you all would fill that in. First question, you're in the store and you're at the cash register and you pay for your goods and you get too much change back. What do? I've got to give it back. How many say, hey, I got a windfall? How many are tempted to say, I got a windfall? Yeah. Okay. What happens if you don't give it back? It comes out of the cashier's paycheck, because the till that he or she is working doesn't match the sales. So you're at the same store and you put something in front of the register and you're expecting to pay X and it rings up X minus a lot. What do? Do Do you say, oh, I didn't realize it was on sale, and you walk away with the great deal? How many of us have done that? Be honest. Oh, you don't have to be honest, but it's happened, and what should we do? Ask. And I've done this, and the clerk looks at me like I'm crazy, like, really? It's only asking you to pay this. But what happens if it's marked wrong and I'm only paying a little bit and it should be more? The store is out. And then it costs them resources that are not fair. And you can't say because it's the store it doesn't matter. It matters. So you're in that same checkout line, and someone in front of you is short on cash. They've rung up all their stuff, and they're going through the wallet, and they're about $20 short. And of course, you're annoyed because you have to wait in line behind them, right? Someone say no. Thank you. No, what do what's our obligation? What are we supposed to do if that happens to someone in front of us? Yeah. Okay, it's, paying it forward. When we first interviewed here 8-9 years ago, my wife Lori went to a coffee shop in the Little Silver train station, Rooks, and our habit has always been to pay for the person behind us. And so that was nice and everything. She went back later that day, and the young lady behind the counter told her that went on for 3 hours. Someone came up to the cash register and found out that their coffee had been paid for. Well, let me pay for the one behind. We have an obligation to take care of each other. So we could all argue that if there are mistakes in the register or if someone doesn't have enough money, that ultimately they're really responsible for the mistakes that they made, right? You could walk away and say, they messed up, not my problem. But it's not who we are. We thrive on community and taking care of each other. But those are the easy ones. You're walking down the street and you see a homeless person, and obviously you've been out in the streets all night, and do you walk by? What do? Anybody? Maybe go get some coffee and a sandwich. Yeah. So, we can't ignore this right in front of us. Because, you can say that the people at the store made an error, but what did this person do that landed him or her in the streets? It may have been something that he or she contributed to, or most often, it's something that happened to them. And then, of course, we get to one of the really tough questions. We know someone is in need of medical care, and they can't afford to go to the doctor. Do you know the death rate from illness in impoverished communities is astronomically higher than the death rate from illness of those who have needs? And the only difference is the ability to get medical care. So how far does our obligation reach? It's really easy to say in the store, I give back the change, or I tell them that the price is wrong, or I can pay for the groceries, I can buy a meal. But at what point are we no longer obligated? How far does that obligation stretch in requiring us to reach beyond ourselves to take care of someone else in need? And we find it in Exodus 23. We read that if you encounter your enemy's ox or donkey loose, you have to take that animal back to your enemy. You can't say, oh, my enemy lost his donkey or his ox. No, you've got to take that animal, stop what you're doing, and even if that person is your enemy, take it back to them. And if you see that your enemy's animal has fallen, you are obligated to stop what you're doing and go help lift that animal back up for your enemy. Torah doesn't give us a choice. It doesn't say if you want to. It says you must. And even while Torah can sometimes be really obtuse and it can be ambiguous, one can't ignore that any interpretation of that you must help your enemy is really unambiguous. You've got to reach beyond what you like or what you don't like. All the more the obligation to help those who are close to us, close around us. So this week, in the Torah portion that we're reading, we're talking about sabbaticals for the land, we're talking about debt remission, and then the text turns to relationships with people. And it teaches us that when your brother falters and comes under your care, you can't profit from his misfortune, you can't charge interest, you must take care of and support him through the struggle, even if it means letting him live in your house. So unlike the Exodus text, this doesn't say when your brother falls, when someone's already fallen or hits rock bottom. This text says when someone falters, when he finds himself beginning to stumble. Even if it's his or her mistake. 1,000 years ago, a guy named Rashi, one of the great Torah scholars, and by the way, later Midrash echoes this sentiment, it says, falter not fallen, you must jump in to help the person before he or she falls. So if you see someone stumbling, you can't wait. Why? Because Deuteronomy tells us, tzedek, tzedek tirdov, justice, justice, righteousness, you must pursue it. You can't wait until there's a need that's demonstrable and it's all out there. If you perceive that something's happening, we have an obligation to go make it, to fix it. And so offering to help, by the way, makes the whole thing a lot easier. It's easier to help someone from falling than to wait to pick up the pieces. So even from just a practical matter, the earlier we get involved in people's needs, the less expensive, the less time, the less complication, and the greater the reward. So, who is our brother? Our biblical tradition reminds us over and over again that we all stem from the first humans, Adam and Eve, and that we are all brothers and sisters. The psalmist says it's great that we as family can be here together. In the reading on Yom Kippur from Deuteronomy, everybody here is part of the same covenant, and everybody not here. So it's not just made with the people of Israel, it's made with the entirety of humanity. And you can't show any less concern for someone because they're not your flesh and blood, because everybody spiritually is our flesh and blood. So even while we think extra care goes into taking care of family, they're all family. We know that we wouldn't think twice. If you get a call from a family member, a real family member, flesh and blood family member saying, I need you, you would drop everything. So many of us are taking care of parents or grandparents or sick siblings or sick children. Don't give a thought about it. But would we react the same if it was someone across the street or in another town? My answer is yes. Why? When Sandy happened, Hurricane Sandy, where did people come from to help restore this area? From everywhere. It didn't matter whether they knew us or not. They showed up, they dropped everything because it was the right thing to do. The problem is we too often wait for the catastrophe to happen. Then we're great at rebuilding. But we need to be more proactive. Why are we waiting for people to die because they can't get medical care to talk about universal health care? Why are we not supporting shelters finding permanent housing, not just lean-tos? Why in a country that produces and wastes so much food are there people starving? We have an obligation to think proactively and to do more than what we normally default to thinking about doing. And our commitment to social justice roots in this obligation because we're supposed to bring healing. We're supposed to heal the broken pieces of the world. And it's not a political matter. This is not a political agenda. It is the Torah that speaks to us. It's our tradition. And whether you talk about it from the Jewish world or the Christian world or the Muslim world, all of which stem from this same book and these same arguments, these same commandments to do this work proactively to take care of each other. So we're about to take the Torah from the Ark, and we're going to read from it. And I'm actually going to read the verse that includes this text. But I want to make sure that as we're hearing it, even in a language we may not understand, that we're thinking about how do I extend my sense of obligation to take care of people? How do I make sure that my faith makes me walk further than the horizon of the boundaries that I was held to yesterday? How do I make sure that I'm part of what heals the world? And so with that, I'm going to ask that we please rise as we take the scroll from the ark.
Susharim Rosheichem Bechinasu Pitche Olam V'yavo Melech HaKavod Mehu ze Melech HaKavod Adonai Tzvaot Uhu Melech HaKavod Selah Uhu Melech HaKavod Selah Selah Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Lecha Adonai Hagedula Hagevura Hatiferet V'Hanitzach V'Havod Yehol Bashamayim Uvaretz Yehol Bashamayim Uvaretz Lecha Adonai Amalacha Marinasi Lechol Rosh Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Ha'olam Amin Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Ha'olam Amin Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim Ve'ha'erneinu B'Toratcha V'davek V'beinu V'mitzvotecha V'yachin V'ahavenu Ve'ahava V'yir'ah et Shemecha.
Please be seated. We're going to be reading from Leviticus 25, 35 to 38 in the red Torah commentary that's in front of you or underneath you if you're in a front row. It's on page 948, 949. In the commentary, there's the Hebrew at the top, there's the English translation in the middle, and there's footnote commentaries at the bottom, so you can follow along. So let me just see where we're at. Right there. Okay.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'charabanu michol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'chi yemucha achicha u'mata yado imach, v'chezakta vo ger v'toshav v'chai imach. Al tikach meito neshech v'tarbit v'reyata me'elohecha v'chai achicha imach. Et kaspecha lo titen lo v'neshech uv'marbit lo titen achlecha. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim לתת לכם את ארץ כנען, להיות לכם לאלוהים.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen v'amen. Let's please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני.
Not gonna make my wrist do this again. Let's see if I can.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה
There we go.
לפני
Surgery
בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. לי 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 לי
Phyllis Kinsler, thank you for joining us for the Aliyah. We take a moment to think about people who are in need of our prayers for healing and for restoration, certainly from the violence that fills the pages of news, the ferocity of nature, people who are injured and who are ill, people who are caring for those who are injured and ill and are giving so much of themselves that they are weak in themselves. We think about people who are struggling in spirit and close to home, those of our own family and community who are in need of prayer. Rabbi Robert Orach, James Appio, Nancy Baskin, Martha Brandween, Walter McWilliams, Martin Gale, Norma Cohn, Miriam Solons, and Gail Topper. And if there's other people that we're holding in prayer, please share names so that we can all join in that.
Barry Gilchrist.
Sandy Jessup.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. God, please make us instruments of healing.
Our prayer for healing can be found in your blue prayer book on page 371.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishabehirach imotenu, Mikor habracha de'avotenu, those in need of healing, with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue on page 374.
Etz chaimi lamachazikima v'tor mechlecha me'ushar derachega darchenu v'chol tivotecha shalom ashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yamenu kekedem Kadesh Yamenu kekedem.
We continue on page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tei gedula le'otzer bereshit, shehuno teshamayim v'yotzer haaretz, u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim v'imal, u'shchinat uzo b'govhei meromim, u'Eloheinu einod, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar, v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo,
When people leave their earthly course, we can't hold their hands, but they never leave our hearts. They continue to grow with us and to grow us as long as we continue to tell the stories and share memories. The things that we remember about them years past mature and somehow change as we understand them better as years go by. And with that, people truly never leave us. We're thinking this week's Yortsites: Anna Marie Anderson, Irving Bergson, Martin A. Brown, Pearl Eisner, Howard Fox, Anna Goldberg, John Herman, Saul Leisner, Joyce Marks, Francis Pesco, Everett Rogov, Gerald Rosenzweig, Ira Schoen, Robert Schulman, Arlene Schwartzman, Janet Scott, Nancy Gale Stern, Bessie Teitelbaum, Ralph W. Tushman, Lucas Viscomi, and Abe Zager. Are there other annual Yortsites being observed this week? And we are in Shloshim for David Atlas, Zichronam Livracha. May the memories that they leave to us always and only lead us to blessings. Page 598, we can find the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai echon v'yom echon, u'chayei decho beit Yisrael, ba'galau v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'tromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yitchalal, shmei dekudshah b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlomo Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'bromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
Oh, say shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
Please be seated.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm Wayne Howard, and on behalf of Monmouth Reformed Temple, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us tonight, both in our sanctuary and via our live stream. Join us for the following upcoming events. Details can be found in the weekly e-blast. Torah study tomorrow is at 8:45. The bar mitzvah of John Trout is at 10 a.m. Join us Friday, June 3rd at 6 p.m. for a special Shabbat service celebrating the 50th anniversary of the ordination of Rabbi Sally J. Presand. We have reached capacity for the dinner, but we welcome you to join us for the service. Confirmation with Yisker will be on Sunday, June 5th. On Saturday, June 11th, we will welcome Shabbat Kala speaker Rabbi Andrea L. Weiss, Provost of the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. Our May Tzedakah box is dedicated to interfaith neighbors. As we approach the 50th anniversary of Rabbi Sally Presand's ordination, we are celebrating her chosen cause by dedicating May's Tzedakah collection to interfaith neighbors. MRT has a long term partnership with Interfaith Neighbors, having helped create the organization. Its community impact includes programs serving all of Monmouth County, including rental and mortgage assistance, nutrition and meals on wheels, affordable housing, neighborhood revitalization, and individual and community empowerment. When attending all events at MRT, please do not wear perfumes or colognes. They can trigger allergies, migraines, and other serious health-related issues. For the protection of our MRT family, please stay home if you feel sick or believe you have been exposed to COVID. Our synagogue continues to engage together in meaningful ways. We would love for more people to invest in our mission for helping others and connecting as a Jewish community. We welcome your investment and gift to help us continue to grow. For information on joining our MRT family or making a donation, please contact Jordana Steinberg in our office or visit our website, www.monmouthreformedtemple.org. Rabbi and Cantor are always available as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Just a plug for Rabbi Andrew Weiss. She is provost of Hebrew Union College. She's a brilliant, brilliant scholar and really one of the most engaging people that I've been blessed to study with. We go back pretty much to school. She was a couple years behind me in rabbinical school, and so she is really amazing. And if you want to learn in a way that is most relevant, join the congregation on that for that event, please. So with that, we are going to close with Ki Eshmer Shabbat. I believe it is on page 634. Cantor?
This prayer, Ki Eshmera Shabbat, which is 2 lines, ties into something Rabbi Kline was saying earlier. The most important Jewish holiday is Shabbat. And if I keep Shabbat, it keeps me, and it has kept the Jewish people. And this particular melody was written in Iraq. There's an enormous Jewish community that began in Iraq, and there are many Iraqi Jews in Monmouth County. We have a large community. But that's the origins of this, the melody of this prayer.
Ki Eshmer HaShabbat Yishmerini, Ki Eshmer HaShabbat Yishmerini, Oti Ne'ol Me'ad Beino Uveini, Oti Ne'ol Me'ad Beino Uveini.
Shabbat is this holiest day. It requires us to keep it as it keeps us. We take a step back, and we may not be able to do it for 24 hours, but the late Abraham Joshua Heschel, Rabbi Heschel, taught us that if you can do 5 minutes for Shabbat, take those 5 minutes of downtime, of rest and renewal, and you will appreciate it so much that next week you'll do 6 minutes. And that's how you'll grow a practice, because it'll become so meaning in your world. So please take care of yourselves and take care of each other. So with that, we've got Motzi and
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
so I'll give this to Wayne. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
We will see you in the morning, bright and early. You ready? He's ready. Great young man. Really a treat to have worked with. And so we're looking forward to the morning. Okay? Shabbat Shalom. Join us for our oneg and across the doors.
Shabbat Shalom.